You bit your lip nervously as what you were about to do, it wasn't right, but you couldn't stop yourself. The pressure of your upcoming exam has gotten you. You weren't failing, but a perfect score would seal your chances for that prestigious scholarship, and you knew that his exam paper was right there, just a few clicks away. You knew that your husband John Jungkook, a well-respected professor, if he came to know this, he would be so upset. He trusts you, loved you deeply, perhaps even more than you deserve in this moment. His laptop was right there, open in front of at the desk, unlocked. Your hands trembled as you reached to it. Your heart was beating so fast. I'm so sorry, Jungkook, but this is the first and last time. He was in the shower as you could still hear the water running down, and that's why you took this chance to sneak into the question paper. You started to go through the PDFs until you saw the title Final Exam Question Paper. A knot formed in your stomach before you clicked on it. You were trying to be as quick as possible before he comes out, but your luck wasn't on your side, as usual. Jungkook came out without making any sound. He saw you doing something on his laptop. Wyan, what are you doing? Your eyes widened in panic as you quickly returned to the home screen, but by that time he came there as he was a little suspicious. You looked at him nervously, and Jungkook can easily catch you when you lie. He looked at his laptop and then at you. What were you doing on my laptop? You quickly stood up, avoiding to look at him while panicking a little, and he understood that you were doing something wrong. Nothing. My laptop wasn't working, so I was... Before you could say anything, he already opened the previously opened tabs and looked at you in disbelief. Is that my exam paper? His voice was dangerously calm, but there was an underlying storm. You scrambled to explain, but your words weren't coming out properly. Jungkook, it's not what it looks like. I was just stealing exam questions. His voice was sharp now, cutting through your feeble attempts at an excuse. He stepped closer as his tall frame loomed over you as his gaze hardened. I wasn't going to use them, I swear. I've been so stressed and I wanted to. You were literally shaking while tears formed in your eyes. Cheat. His words hit like a blow. He never raised his voice, but the disappointment and anger in his tone were far worse. You, of all people, Wyan, my own wife, you couldn't just talk to me, you had to go behind my back. Tears started falling from your eyes and guilt was choking you. You knew he was right, the temptation had gotten the better of you, and now the person you loved the most stood before you, a mixture of betrayal and fury etched on his face. I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to hurt you, I wasn't thinking. Jungkook clenched his jaw, his fist tightened as if he was trying to contain his emotions. I don't even know what to say to you right now. I can't even look at you right now. Your heart dropped when you heard that. You felt so guilty and ashamed as you broke his trust. You swallowed hard, stepping forward. Jungkook, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. Didn't mean to what? He cut you off and his tone was sharp. Didn't mean to steal the exam papers. Didn't mean to betray my trust. You, Wyan, out of all people, I never thought you would stoop to this. His word hit you like a punch, each one laced with disappointment. I was stressed. I panicked. I didn't know what else to do. You pleaded, your voice trembling as you tried to explain. He let out a harsh laugh, but there was no humor in it. Stressed? Everyone gets stressed. But that doesn't mean you would do such low work. You could have talked to me. You could have asked me to teach you well, which I'm always ready, but no. Instead, you decided that you'll cheat. Is that what you gave me in return for my trust? You looked at him almost crying. I know it was wrong. I wasn't thinking. Please just let me explain. He shook his head and his jaw clenched. Explain what? How you thought it was okay to cheat your way out of this? I thought better of you, Wyan. The way he was saying all that with so much disappointment, it was worse than yelling. I made a mistake. I'll fix it. I'll do anything. Just please don't shut me out like this. Your throat tightened. Jungkook stared at you for a long moment, but his expression was unreadable, and the hurt was clear in his eyes. He looked away. I can't deal with this right now. You reached for his arm, trying to close the gap between you, but he pulled away sharply. His back was now turned to you. Jungkook, please. I won't repeat this again. I promise. Without a word, he walked to the door. His hand gripped the handle tightly. He paused as if he was going to say something, but then he shook his head and left, closing the door behind him with a quiet click. You stood there looking at the closed door, feeling sad and full of guilt. Jungkook didn't shout at you. He didn't even say he wouldn't forgive you. But the way he stayed quiet and how he left without looking at you, it hurt more than anything he could have said. The next morning, the house felt too quiet. You sat at the breakfast table looking at the food in front of you, but you couldn't eat. Jungkook sat across from you, but he didn't look at you or say anything. He was focused on his phone, and the silence between you felt heavy, like a wall you couldn't break. You wanted to say sorry again, but your throat felt tight and you couldn't get the words out. Minutes passed slowly until finally Jungkook stood up. Without saying anything or even looking at you, he walked away, leaving you alone at the table. He didn't touch his food either. You could clearly see how disappointed he was in you just by a stupid mistake that you made out of desperation. You know you broke his trust. At university, things didn't feel any better. As you walked through the hallway, your heart sank when you saw Jungkook talking to a group of professors. He looked calm and normal, as if nothing had happened between you. But when your eyes met his, he quickly turned away, acting like he didn't see you. The coldness hurt, and with each step you felt sadder and smaller. You walked inside the classroom with a heavy heart. You have no idea how long this is going to last. You sat at your desk in the back of the classroom, nervously tapping your pen on your notebook. Jungkook was at the front of the room teaching the lesson, but his voice sounded far away. He was acting like nothing had happened between you two, but you knew the truth. He didn't even look at you. Alright everyone, let's move on to the next chapter. Page 156 in your textbooks. Jungkook said, flipping through his notes. You opened your book quickly and your hands were shaking. You could feel him at the front of the room, but you were too scared to look at him. Every time he spoke to the class, it reminded you that he wasn't speaking to you. A student raised their hand and asked a question. Jungkook answered calmly, his voice normal, but when he looked around the room, his eyes skipped over you like you weren't even there. You felt sad and nervous. Normally Jungkook would give you a small smile or help you if you needed it, but today it was like you didn't exist to him. The class seemed to last forever, and the distance between you and Jungkook felt bigger with each minute. When the class finally ended, you stayed behind, your heart beat fast. You wanted to talk to him, to say sorry again, but he packed his things quickly and left the room. Tears filled your eyes as you watched him walk away. It hurt so much that he was ignoring you. Later, you found yourself standing outside the staff room. Your heart was racing and your hands were shaking, but you had to try. You slowly pushed open the door and saw him sitting alone at his desk, lost in thoughts. The sight of him looking so distant. Jungkook, you whispered, stepping inside. He glanced up. His expressions were hard but didn't say anything. You swallowed hard, forcing yourself to continue. I didn't see anything, I swear. I didn't look. I know it was wrong and I'm so sorry. I'll never do anything like that again, I promise. Jungkook sighed heavily, setting his papers down. His eyes met yours, but they were filled with disappointment. The hurt was still clear. It's not about whether you saw the question or not, Ryan. It's about what you did. I never thought you would do something like this. His voice was quiet, but it carried the weight of his feelings. I know, you whispered, your tears were threatening to fall. I wasn't thinking, I was just so stressed and I don't know why I did that. He leaned back in his chair. He wasn't happy to see this side of you, but he wanted to make you realize that what you did was not right. I was proud of you. You have never been the top student, but you always worked hard. You always tried to bring out the best in yourself, and I admire that about you. What you did, it's beyond disappointing. You opened your mouth to apologize again, but the words wouldn't come. Hearing how proud he had been of you made the guilt even worse. You had ruined that pride with one stupid, thoughtless action. I trusted you, Vian, not just as my wife, but as a student. I expected more from you. Cheating, trying to steal answers, it's something I never thought you were capable of. Tears fell now, and you wiped them quickly, feeling ashamed. I'm sorry, I made a mistake. A terrible mistake. I'll do anything to make it right, you choked out. Jungkook sighed again, rubbing his temple. I don't know if an apology can fix this. I need time, Vian. This isn't something I can just forget overnight. His words hit you hard, and the reality of what you had done settled in even deeper. You nodded, knowing that there was nothing you could say that would make it this right, at least not right now. I'll give you time. I'll do whatever it takes to earn back your trust. You said in low voice, your words came out shaking. Jungkook didn't respond right away. He simply looked at you. His face was calm but distant. Finally he nodded, and you turned to leave. Your heart was heavy with regret and the knowledge that this would be a long, painful journey back to where you once were. Jungkook let out a shaky breath as soon as you left. I'm sorry for being like this, Vian. I love you, but I can't let this slide. You would never try to repeat this mistake again once you'll realize it. The rest of the day passed in a blur. After your conversation with Jungkook in the staff room, your heart felt heavier than ever. His disappointment, his coldness, it was all too much to bear. You couldn't stop replaying his words in your mind. The way he looked at you, like you had shattered his trust, kept echoing in your thoughts. When you got home that evening, you felt really tired and sad. You didn't want to eat dinner, so you went straight to your bed and lay down staring at the ceiling. The guilt of what you did felt heavy in your chest. The thought that Jungkook might never forgive you made your stomach hurt. You thought about all the times Jungkook had helped you, encouraged you when things were hard. Yet even after all that, you had made a big mistake. You wondered how you could fix things. How could you make him trust you again? The more you thought about it, the more hopeless it seemed. Maybe Jungkook would never forgive you. Maybe things between you two would never be the same. Why did I do it? I knew it was wrong, but I still did it. How could I be so stupid? You sat staring at the ceiling. You pulled the blanket tighter around yourself, trying to block out the overwhelming guilt. What was I even thinking? I could have just asked him for help. Jungkook would have helped me, but instead I went behind his back. You shook your head, feeling the tears start to sting your eyes again. He probably hates me now. He didn't even look at me this morning or in class. You remember how he had acted, so cold, so distant. It felt like a knife twisting in your chest every time he ignored you. I miss him. I miss how things used to be. But maybe he'll never forgive me. Maybe things will never be the same. I wish I could take it all back. I wish I hadn't done something so stupid. He was so proud of me, and now I have ruined everything. The more you thought about it, the heavier the regret became. What if he never trusts me again? I have let him down. I don't deserve him. The thought made you feel even smaller. You stayed like that for a while, lost in your own thoughts, unable to shake the feelings that things were broken beyond repair. I have messed up so badly. I don't know how to fix it. Maybe I can't. Just as you felt like the weight of your guilt would crush you, you heard the soft creak of the door. You didn't move, hoping whoever it would be leave you alone, but then you felt the bed dip as someone sat beside you. Vian. He softly called your name. You didn't answer right away. You felt too ashamed to look at him. After a little while, he spoke again. I brought you some food. I noticed you didn't eat dinner. You slowly pulled the blanket down just a little to peek out. Jungkook was sitting beside you, holding a plate of food. His face didn't look as angry as before, instead he looked worried. I know you're upset, but you can't skip dinner, Ryan. You need to eat. You sat up, but you still didn't look at him. I don't feel like eating, you mumbled. Jungkook sighed softly and set the plate down on the table beside your bed. He looked at you, his eyes serious but kind. I know this is hard for you, but it's been hard for me too. Not because I'm still mad at you, but because I hate seeing you like this. Tears filled your eyes again. I'm sorry I messed up, Jungkook. I don't know how to make it right. Jungkook took your hand gently, his thumb brushed over your fingers. What you did was wrong, Ryan, but it's not just about taking the exam questions. I'm upset because I never thought you would do something like that. You started to cry. I know I was just so scared. I didn't want to disappoint you and I thought... Jungkook shook his head softly. Disappoint me? Ryan, I'm proud of you because you always try your best. But you didn't trust yourself enough and you didn't trust me. He paused for a moment before continuing. I'm your husband. I'm always here for you. If you were struggling, you could have come to me for help. I would have taught you, guided you, anything you needed. But you're also my professor. I didn't want to ask for special treatment. You said, looking down. This time Jungkook smiled a little. I'm glad you respect that, but that's not what I mean. I wouldn't give you special treatment, but I would help you like any other student who needed guidance. The fact that you didn't come to me and try to cheat instead, that's what hurt me. You wiped your eyes. I didn't mean to hurt you. I was just scared of failing. Jungkook held your hand a little tighter. I understand, and that's why I'm not mad anymore. But I need you to understand why I was upset. It's about trust. As a professor, I need to trust that you'll do your best honestly. And as your husband, I need to know you'll come to me when things get hard. We are a team, Ryan. You don't have to go through things alone. His words made you feel better, but also more guilty. You looked at him and saw the love and care in his eyes. He wasn't angry anymore, he just wanted you to understand. I'm so sorry, I'll never do anything like that again, I promise. Jungkook nodded and kissed the back of your hand gently. I believe you, but you need to believe in yourself too. You're capable of so much more than you think. You don't need shortcuts. You sniffled and nodded. I'll do better. I'll work harder. Jungkook smiled softly and wiped away your tears. That's all I want. Just try your best, and if things get tough, come to me. Don't keep it all inside, okay? You nodded again, feeling warmth spread through your chest. Despite everything, Jungkook was still there, still caring for you. I will, I promise, you said quietly. Jungkook picked up the plate of food and handed it to you. Now eat something. You'll need your strength if you're going to study hard tomorrow. You laughed a little and took the plate. Okay, I'll eat, but you also didn't eat anything from the morning. Eat with me. He smiled, brushing his hand through your hair before kissing your forehead. Never forget that I love you unconditionally. I didn't mean to upset you. I was just not happy with what you did. You nodded. I promise that won't happen again. He smiled and scooped some rice before feeding you. You smiled, feeling so relieved that finally things got okay. You promise yourself to never do something again that can upset him.